Good evening, friends. I am Basab Roy representing Sydney Multicultural Society, building bridges and connecting community. I begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodian of land on which we meet today and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Well, last episode, I was dressed up on an African formal outfit. So tonight, I have decided to dress up in a Pathani style, representing my friends from Pakistan and Afghanistan. Now, friends, there is a big news. Sydney Multicultural Society is now incorporated entity. So friends from all spheres are invited to join this multicultural association. I would also like to thank to everyone for supporting us to this initiative. Last episode, like that was our first episode, and we have crossed 1.3k viewership. It's a great thing. Thank you everyone for that support. Please give your feedback and suggestion so moving forward we can incorporate the same and have more input and have more flavor to our journey. If you are interested in any topics to discuss and would like to participate, please let us know. You can follow us on Facebook, website, Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and YouTube. Now, friends, I will not take much of your time. I will hand over the screen to one of our active member, Dr. Balarka Banerjee, to take this show forward. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a very great night.
Thank you, Vasudha. Thank you, everybody who's joining in right now. I'm hoping more people will be tuning in very soon as well. So welcome, everybody, to our second episode of Sit and Talk on behalf of Sydney Multicultural Society. Like last time, we'll have a conversation. And to lead the conversation, this time we have with us Sharmila Ray, we all know her, our beloved Sharmila Di. I will actually be stepping back from this once I introduce Sharmila Di to the screen. But please keep engaging with us through Facebook. You can type in comments. You can type in questions through Facebook or just below this stream, and we will feature these comments as we go along. And Sharmila Di can pick them up and discuss them. And I will come back towards the end and maybe wrap things up again. But for now, over to you, Sharmila Di.
Thank you, Balarko, for such a loving introduction. And I would also like to thank Sydney Multicultural Society for giving me the opportunity to host tonight's event. Sydney Multicultural Society is an organization that is trying tirelessly to connect people during this difficult time by sharing knowledge, expertise, and experiences. And with that in mind, tonight's guest speaker is Sharoni Ray, whose professional career spans many industries and whose professional journey is a story of attaining success against all odds. Sharoni is a trained Australian actor, model, journalist, PR and media relations professional, motivational speaker, and an ESL teacher. Hello, Sharoni. Thank you for joining us tonight. And as you have heard, I listed off several industries that you are involved with. So my opening question to you is, could you please take us through your journey from where it began to where you are now at present? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharmila. And thank you so much, Balarka. Thank you so much, Basib. So it's really I'm really honored that for you guys to have me on your show, and thank you to Sydney Multicultural Society and to all of you listeners who have joined us today. And we'll chat more, I'm sure. So if I have to begin with my journey, I'll probably start that, I'm from a very small town in India, called Jamshedpur, and which is in Jharkhand, India. And yeah, so that was where I was born. And then I did my school from there. I finished school there. And then for my uni, I went to Mumbai. And there I did my university from Mumbai University, Sophia College. And after that, I got into writing for magazines. So that was a choice that I made, that I wanted to study, do my further studies, higher studies, and do everything with my own money. I will not take money from my dad anymore. So that was me. And so my professional career actually started when I was very young. I was hardly like 20 when I got into my first job. And yeah, it was quite tough to be by yourself in Mumbai, in a big city like Bombay, coming from a small town, and sort of paying all your bills, doing everything by yourself, no family, nobody to sort of support you and stuff like that. And then so it made me titanium strong, I would say, and it sort of I was ready to sort of face the world after spending 10 years in Bombay. So that was my writing and editing career, where I was interviewing, let's say, Shah Rukh Khan, M. Night Shyamalan, all the photographers, artists, everyone. I mean, I've worked for about like 17 publications so far. So, it was just amazing. It was a dream job because I had to cover fashion weeks, talk to makeup artists, all the models, and everyone was friends. That was a great one. And then I switched to PR, which is public relations for tech clients, because I had to move to Bangalore. And in Bangalore, which is an IT city, so I switched to PR for tech clients like Google, HP, Visa, and all of that. And that was the time, after like a few years, in back in 2013, that was the time I was diagnosed with cancer. So that was kind of a turning point for me, the biggest jolt, biggest pause. I mean, not a pause, because I did not put my life on pause at all, but I just realized that probably I've not been prioritizing myself, or my health, or anything. So that was like a big lesson learned on self-love, self-care, all of that, where I promised to myself that I'm going to now take care of myself and take care of my happiness and what I want to do, and think about that, and not just conform to the society and sort of follow the norm, get into that mold where everyone's expectation is met. But what about myself, my own growth, or personal growth, or even like, so like my, just the general things which I love, but I just sacrificed because, parents wanted something. Everyone has expectations of you, so it was a burnout kind of a situation for me. So then that was the time I kind of said that, you know what, I probably want to live in a different part of the world, because I've not traveled much, before this, and neither have I lived in any other country. So I wanted to live in a different part of the world, and sort of do something different, something that I've not done before, those kind of things. Maybe just deep sea diving, skydiving, just do everything, And I wasn't hung up about my career as such. I had no plans, even as a journalist or PR professional. Things just happened. One thing led to another. Of course, I have a qualification in PR and advertising, but then I never really thought that that would be my profession or anything. So none of it was planned. And that was the time I sort of wanted to move out of India. And somehow we got PR, public permanent residency for New South Wales. So that's when I moved to Australia in 2014, and so came here with no money, no job, no savings, nothing, two suitcases literally. But but that wasn't tough for me, because I had lived a tougher life in Bombay. by myself in hostels and paying guest accommodation. So I've lived in a suitcase for a long time, and Mumbai being so expensive rent-wise, you always share. It was always a shared accommodation, so you hardly have space for yourself. So you are pretty much living in a suitcase most of your life in Bombay. And so then here, when I came here, then I did not get a job in media or PR or corpcom, like corporate communication or brand management, which I had so much experience and so much qualification in. In spite of that, I did not get any job here, so which was like painful to say, to start with. And then Sydney is expensive, and then so I took up whatever I got. I sort of got into Telstra customer service and market research, tourism research, Australia, and those kind of jobs. And then and I completed my CELTA, which is Cambridge qualification to teach English to speakers of other languages. So I completed that, and I started teaching English to speakers of other languages here in Sydney language centers. But my left leg started acting up, and I started getting excruciating, crippling pain in my left leg, and I was not able to do any job teaching or anything because I was not able to stand, sit, walk for more than 10 minutes, and I was bedridden again. So that was again a moment where I was like, okay, so now I progressed. I really worked hard to reach where I am. Finally, I had a job and everything. I thought everything is now going to be okay, but my health again pulled me back. So what you do when you're bedridden at home, you just binge watch Netflix. So that's what I was doing. And I was a dancer throughout my life, I'm trained in 4 dance forms, but because of my leg, I cannot get back to dancing as well because I can't do any activity. So that was the time I was watching this show, American show on Netflix, and I saw this ethnic looking actor, a person of color. So, and he done such a good job and such a good role. He bagged in an American show. So I just Googled him, where's this actor from and all of that. And then I figured he's an Australian actor. And he went to so-and-so film school in Sydney, Melbourne, all of that. And then I sort of thought to myself, you know what, I've always been a creative. I've done dance plays, I've done theater in Bombay. Like I was in a part of Alec Williams's production and stuff like that. But I didn't really have the time to sort of pursue it or pursue cinema or study cinema. I love cinema. I grew up watching American, British content apart from Indian content. So that was the time I thought that, you know what, let me just, do a course in cinema or something. So I called this film school this actor went to the next morning. And I said, you know what, I want to do this workshop, this acting course. So they said, sure, enroll, register. So I did that, went to that film school. And so because I just went with the mindset of making friends, meeting like-minded people, creatives like myself. Because in Australia, I have no history. I've never been to Australia, visited Australia before migrating here. So we didn't really know anyone, like no family, friends, no one. So how do I meet these like-minded people or make friends or meet new people? So so that was the time I just said, a school is the best place to meet like-minded people. So then I went there and then I was like, oh my God, I shouldn't be here because they were all, most of them were white actors, all of them were white actors, and way more younger. When they were 8 years old, 10 years old, they went to drama school. Since then, they're trained, they're like pros at it. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing here? I just don't fit in. And I said, oh my God, they were replaying the footage, what we shoot in class. And I was like, oh no, I should not be here at all. On screen is just, I look atrocious. I have big cheeks, big eyes. It's just not for me, so the tutor sort of asked all of us at the end of playing the footage, replaying all our footage, she asked that, so how many of you think you're not, you just don't want to be here anymore? So I said, so everyone raised their hands, and I was like, really? All of you look like dolls. All of you look so pretty and so beautiful, and so all of us feel that way, that you don't want to be on screen, you don't like yourself on screen. So that's when I realized that it is a profession which sort of, it in a way forces you, pushes you to accept yourself exactly the way you are, because on screen all your flaws are magnified. Okay, all your weight, your everything, you can't hide anything. You can't hide your wrinkles, you can't hide your hair, nothing. Everything is magnified, right? So it's so difficult to accept yourself on that big screen with so many flaws and imperfections in you. So, but then that's what I realized, that this profession is one profession where it pushes you to accept and embrace yourself as is, whatever you are right now, with all your imperfections. And that's what makes you a great actor or a natural actor, because you're no more ashamed of your emotions. It's a place where it's a safe space to be emotional and vulnerable, right? If it's a drama scene, I have to cry. Otherwise, what are we doing in real life? We're almost hiding our tears, or we don't want to cry in public. But it's your chance to go cry as much as you want on screen, right? But yes, I mean, of course, there is technique and tools and all of that you learn. And that was the start. And then I fell in love with the profession, because acting gigs started coming in, modeling started coming in, like modeling offers. That was also the time when I got into Miss India Australia, the beauty pageant. I registered for it. But then, yeah, I fell in love with the profession, and that's how I started getting acting gigs. Yeah.
It is indeed a multifaceted career, and your journey is such an impressive one. It's incredible that nothing was planned before; it just happened. And
Nothing.
now we know that you had cancer and so many other roadblocks you faced, like your invisible disabilities. It's such an incredible story. Actually, what can I say? It's really a story of endurance, courage, and determination. Thank you, Sharoni, for sharing this experience with us. And I think many of us who face difficulties in life can relate to this story, and a lot of us are facing difficulties during this time. And speaking of this time, I mean, we know that pandemic has actually hit many industries, especially tourism, hospitality, and entertainment industries. And as an actor and model, could you tell us what's happening in that entertainment space now? What changes they made to adapt to the circumstances, and what exactly is happening there?
Sure. So I'll tell you, even before the pandemic, it is sort of kind of, uh, I would say, after experiencing so many industries and domains, working in so many domains, acting is by far the toughest profession you can be in, even in general. It's pandemic, no pandemic, unless you are crazy about this profession, about the craft, you will not be able to survive in it, because initially it's not gonna, it's just rejections, rejections, rejections. We get rejected 5 times a day. So that's the resilience you need to be able to accept the rejection every day, because I could be rejected only because of my eye color, because they probably were looking for a blue-eyed girl, or like a brown-eyed girl, or maybe my cheekbones did not match the child actor's cheekbones, or the hair color and things like that. So very, very I mean, all successful actors in Hollywood or UK or anywhere, what they say is they've been for thousands of auditions before getting one big role. Okay, so that's the journey you have to be prepared for, to be rejected thousands of times. Okay, so I've just started the rejection game. So I've only started now. And so that is how tough this is. And with my invisible disabilities, it just makes it a little more complicated. And, like with the leg pain and everything. Like, for example, if I have to go for an audition, and when we were doing physical auditions, in-person auditions, if the studio is in the city, casting agencies in the city, and old buildings, they don't even have an elevator a lot of times. But with my leg pain, there were times that taking that whole flight of steps is going to be a problem for me. But then it's also the drive, to make it and to sort of be successful in the profession, sort of drives me, and sort of I forget the pain for some time when I'm on set. And with the pandemic, what has happened is that we are no more able to sort of go for in-person auditions or anything. So we had to, I mean, all actors have had to sort of buy equipment like studio lights, setting, entire microphone, camera, tripod, whatever. The entire setup of a casting agency, like a studio, had to be done at home, because now you have to shoot everything at home and then submit it. So there's a lot of post-production work that you have to learn. Also in terms of editing videos, uploading them. There's a particular size of file size that you can upload, so you need to compress them. It takes so many hours for one submission to happen. Like if I mean, depending on your expertise as well, practice, then you might get a bit faster at it. But on an average, if I have 2 auditions to submit, I would take maybe 5 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours sometimes to kind of, get all of that right, because I have to learn everything and do it single-handedly. What a casting director was doing all this while. Now the actor, my job is not just to go and perform, but also to sort of learn the entire process. So that way, I mean, let's say some of the challenges would be these, where there are also challenges like even if you, I mean, they're looking for actors who are from the same family bubble. You know what I mean? Like a commercial, then they would say that, oh, okay, so if you're a family, then we hire you for that commercial, the whole family. So that is again becoming a challenge in terms of casting. Yeah, those things. But then the plus side or the silver lining to this would be, I would say that initially, like before this, if I was doing getting trained by Sydney tutors and coaches, acting coaches, now everything is on Zoom or online. So I can get trained from a acting coach in UK or acting coach in US. So that has become much more, and all countries have become much more open now, because Hollywood crashed and our industry crashed. Therefore, because Hollywood, if Hollywood is affected, we're all affected. The entire industry affected, because that's one of the biggest one. So, and Australia used to be much limited in comparison to Hollywood, but because Australia and New Zealand are the safer countries compared to other countries, even now in the world. So a lot of productions have moved to Australia recently, which is good news. But then with the lockdown, we don't know if it's that good news and when we'll be able to shoot. But then, yeah, it's different times, and I'm getting used to it now. I'm getting more practice in doing things myself and learning a lot of things. And unfortunately, all this labor, all this hours that you're spending, and then the audition I submitted, let's say, I don't get the job. So who's paying for these lost hours that you spend, the 10 hours that you spend to submit to auditions? Then no one's paying us for those hours. You know what I mean? And then I'm not even getting that job. So it's a lot of labor, unpaid labor, which is happening here. So yeah.
It's really amazing. Thank you for giving us an insight into your professional journey and the challenges you faced. And I can see a lot of comments. I don't know whether you're seeing it. A lot of comments from our viewers that they are so impressed with your journey. And I think the positive message that we are getting from tonight's program is never give up, never ever give up, and let us all dream big, because we never know our limits. That's what I'm getting from your journey. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Like
Yes.
one thing that I've realized, with cancer and things like that, it teaches you
Yes.
certain things, like, life is so, I mean, it's short. We all say it, that life is short. We should do
Mm.
everything now. But then we don't really adhere to it. We don't
Mm.
really practice it. But as a cancer survivor, you face death. So now you better practice it. I have this urgency all the time. I work 7 days. I'm not telling anyone to do that. You shouldn't do it. You should take time out. But then I have this urgency to finish everything by myself. Like right today, I have to do it. I have to complete these things today. Because tomorrow, yeah, if tomorrow never comes, this is the last thing I did. So, I might as well finish it today, right? I might as well create that film, or that I'll finish that shoot, or that photo shoot that I was, planning, or something, because I've created something wonderful, something very beautiful, which will be memories, which will be there for everyone to see, or it's going to last forever. That's the beauty of cinema and this photography industry and the shoot modeling industry, that even if you're not there, people can see it forever. That was also one of the most exciting or fascinating things about this industry and the profession. And of course, I pursue 5 professions. So I always say that, I'm a big believer of, like, diversifying your income sources, diversifying your, the best way to sort of, to retain or maintain your mental health and your well-being is
It is very
not to put
important. Yes.
all your eggs in one basket.
Mm.
Because one pandemic comes, and let's say your industry is shut down, what do you do then? Because if you never did anything else, then you'll be like, it's a dead end for you. But it is not a dead end. All of us, each of us, have multiple facets in us, which we never explored. That's the problem, that we never
That's
explored
what
it.
I'm saying. That we
Yeah,
don't know our
exactly.
limits.
We don't know
Yeah.
what we don't know. You know
Yes.
what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Uh, I will
so
actually say goodbye to the viewers and get Balarko over to pass over to Balarko to wrap this up and present viewers' questions.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was,
there was
Sharmi,
so
was a
much
very
question.
fascinating discussion, and it is a
Thank you
really
so much,
uh,
Sharmila.
very impressive.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Balarko.
You're on mute, Balaka, I think. Balaka, I think,
Apologies.
yeah,
Yeah.
now I can hear.
So I was just saying that we had a couple of questions come through during the interview. So I was wondering if I could just get your opinion on that. So Dr. Amit Gupta actually asked, Sharoni, what kept you motivated after facing such odds as a minority?
Mm, as a minority, do you mean, I'm not sure, do you mean as a person of color, or do you mean
I suppose
person
so.
of, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So one is that we're not a minority. Okay, people of color in Australia are not a minority. We are a lot of population. I think what just Indians are, I think, 700,000 population, or more than that, something like that. So, but then yes, are we seen on screen? That is a question, a big question. We are there. A lot of times the industry tries to say that, there are not that many, actors of color, performers of color, but we are. There's a huge talent pool of BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and diverse background performers and actors. So, what kept me motivated is my personal drive, you know, because, and anyway, acting is something that no one is forcing you to do. Okay. You don't want to do it, don't do it. You know, there is a huge supply and there's very little demand. So the supply is always going to be excess, and there's always very little demand. So you have to keep fighting, keep fighting. And my motivation is, like I said, that, I want to do things that sort of involve me and make me forget the pain. And I think acting did that. Acting sort of helped me accept myself, because I grew up thinking I'm dark, fat, ugly, and all of that. And then, finally I'm here looking at myself on screen, and people loving me, getting so much love from everyone, and getting such good feedback from everyone in terms of accepting who I am and whatever I look like. So it taught me so many things, and I think that's my motivation, that it made me evolve as a human being as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for that. And a question from Bashabda, actually. It's an interesting question, actually. What is the future of OTT versus watching movies in the theater,
I
in
think,
your opinion?
see, watching movies in the theater is always going to be the A game, the top notch game, right? I mean, we love going to a cinema. So that's not going to change. But I think the only thing which is happening due to the pandemic, that everything is now, because the theaters are shut, you cannot release films in theaters, all of that. So therefore, we have to resort to OTT. But the moment the pandemic is gone, or whenever we are free of this situation, I think we'll definitely bounce back and go back to theaters, because that's their love of cinema. However
Right.
big your TV is, at home TV is, it's not going to be the same as
I
watching it in theater.
definitely hope so. And I miss paying 3 times as much for my popcorn at Pepsi Max, so can't wait for that. And maybe we'll end with this question from Rajshri. I think that's quite appropriate. Where can we expect to see you next on screen?
Okay, so I've shot quite a few things, but then the industry is such that it takes a while before films get released, or before a show, a series gets released. In the sense that, I'll give you an idea of how things work. It's like The Greatest Showman, the film. It took 7 years for it to get released. So there are so many factors in a film, or in a project, in a season or a show, that it could get stuck. And with the pandemic, it could get stuck. And I'm unable to reveal much, because we sign contracts that we can't reveal what we've done or what we've shot before, unless it releases. But you will see me on Amazon Prime, and possibly on Netflix as well. And commercials, you can see a lot of them: Combank, MAC Cosmetics, Pinterest, Modibody, Nancy Gans, all these commercials. They're much faster, turnaround time. But the thing is that if it's a show, then what they do is, if I'm there in as a guest role in one episode, then they will not release it unless they have shot the whole season.
Sure.
Until then, you won't be able to see me.
Right.
So now, when is that going to happen? I don't know. It could have released this year. Last year, actually, it was supposed to release, but it did not. because of the pandemic. So yeah.
All right, we'll look forward to it, and maybe I'll squeeze in one more question from Oshibna, because he's a good friend of ours, although we're running a bit over time. So hi Sharoni, having seen both Bollywood and Western acting worlds, what's your preference?
So Bollywood, I haven't worked in Bollywood. Okay. Bombay, I was a journalist, an editor for magazines. So I've only seen it as a journalist. And a lot of people said that at that time when I was in Mumbai, that why don't you get into modeling and acting? You look great. You look like Bipasha Basu. You look like Sushmita Sen. God knows, whatever. And then why don't you get into it? So, but then I did not have the courage to get into that industry by myself. And because in India it is a very different approach, a very different format, a different industry, in the way that I kind of hear what the thing is, that you have to be trained first. So it's the simple thing here. What they follow is that if you want to be a lawyer, you go to a law school. If you want to be a doctor, you go to a medical school. Here, if you want to be an actor, you go to a film school. But in India, that's not the case. You want to be a lawyer in India, you go to a law school. You want to be a doctor in India, you go to a medical school. But you want to be an actor in India, you don't need to go to a film school. You could just know someone, or just be a producer, or some other ways. There are different ways of getting to acting in India. So that's the difference. That's a big difference, I felt. And here it is much more streamlined, much more, many more laws and rules, and you're much more safer space for you to sort of explore this opportunity, and it's much more fair, I would say, and it's much more just here. So if you do have your training in place, if you do have the talent, and if you have the persistence and the resilience to sort of, for 10 years, I will not get anything. If you're prepared for that I will have to go for thousands of auditions and get rejected, and then I will get probably one big role in big production. So if you're trained and prepared for that, if you love this profession that much, then that's great. So I would still love to work in India and UK, US, everywhere, Australia, everywhere. I would love to work in India because I know the languages, I know all of that, and I love the format as well, all the song and dance, and the color. I love it, and performance. I mean, such brilliant, talented actors in India. So I'd love to work with them, that is for sure. But then I'm not sure if it's how fair that industry is as of now. But here it's very fair.
Right.
I would.
Right. I think the comedian Biswa said that in India you become a accountant, lawyer, or a doctor or engineer first, and then you decide what you really want to do with your life. So on that note, maybe we'll end this conversation here. Thank you, Saroni, very much for joining us, and all the best with all your different projects. And we hope to see you soon on either the small screen or the big screen. And thank you to the viewers who joined us today. Please leave your comments. If you have more questions, please keep putting them in those comments box, and maybe we'll try to get back to you over time. And please give us suggestions about what you want to see, and hopefully we'll organize something and be back again soon. So with that, thank you and good night.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much, all of you listeners and viewers. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Bye.